Hello everybody, it's Geraldine Rose here, another everyday crafter with a Christmas in July card for you for this week's Color Throwdown Challenge in Coral, Grey and Blue. We've got to get that back panel done, so I'm running it through the embossing fold. This sign says Stamp Swirling Snowflake one again. It's either accent or hammer-mill paper I was using this time, not the Nina. And I knew I was just going to be spritzing it and running it through the embossing folder again, so it didn't matter too much to me. So you can see I'm using 4 different sprays on it there, just mixing them all around, and I'm going to set it down with the fan on it actually to get it to dry. And cutting out some stockings for this. This ties in with that Gemini cover plate that's behind there that you can see. And these ones, I've had them so long, I don't even know where I got them from. I wanted to put texture on them so they look like stockings. So this one I was running through the Honeybee Burlap folder. And here is that Crafter's Companion Gemini Hang Your Stockings cover plate that I was talking about. And that's why I picked the stocking dies out, because this actually has stockings all over it. And it's quite a large one, so I had to cut it down. Because there was glue sticking out over all of those little holes, I went in with some Nouveau Silver Sequins, the sparkle dust, and shook that all around, and it kind of picked up any of the loose glue that was there. And this, I'm just putting some depth on the stockings, matching the colors, blue and coral for guys and girls there. Putting on the top of the stockings and the little poof balls on the end of the tassels. I think these were originally for one of my gnome sets, because of course it's got a curl on the end, and I've not actually seen Christmas stockings like that. Ours are velvet with white. We like it. Oh wait, actually we've got a knit one too. So trying to figure out which placement that the pom-poms went on. That's the Marvy snow marker, and I've used that before for like putting snow on cards. I wanted to have it look like it was like puffy wool. And when you put your heat gun to it, so you see what it does? It puffs up and it's got really kind of a nice soft velvety texture. This is where I'm cropping down the back panel now that I've glued the two of them together and they've dried a little bit more. This pulled out the glimmer machine, and I didn't have the foil I wanted to cut out my word sentiment, so I went in and thought, well, I'll just glimmer some with the solid plate and die cut it out, as you can see here. And this actually didn't work because the foil I was using was some old Cricut stuff, and it looked great on the paper itself, but then once you die cut it and the plastic part came off the top, see, it looks good there, but then literally it starts peeling apart. But then I'm like, oh, that's really cool actually. It gave it a bit of a patina effect. And here I'm putting the layers together so that we build it up a little bit better. I think I did the Christmas with double layer, and then the Merry, that one I had 3 layers because it's such a fine die cut. So just putting some oxide over top of them just to see how that patina will come out, rubbing it off with microfiber cloth. And this is where that rose gold foil started showing through quite nicely. It was about this point where I decided I didn't have enough contrast in the word sentiments for where they were going to be sitting up at the top. So I changed that Merry. I brought the abandoned coral in on it, and it tied in with the fact that there's 2 different colored stockings as well too. I still wanted more contrast. I thought, oh, I'll put a gray backing on, and that later I end up ripping off. I still didn't like what was going on with the panel, so I went and distressed around the edge with some Van Curl to kind of bring that color in to give it a little bit more of a vintage look. And I was like, okay, now that's feeling a little bit better to me as I'm doing this. Here's where I've got the stockings. I used some of the silver thread from Close to My Heart to actually hang them from the Mary, because that originally is supposed to have an ornament hanging from it. And I thought, well, I'll just hang the stockings from it instead. So I got them set into place here where I want them, so that, of course, the stocking on the Gemini cover plate is still showing in the back as well, too. And I'm going to take the Christmas and we're going to put that over top of it and set it so that the eye basically looks like it's the tittle part is just hanging over top of the dot on where the thread is actually coming off. Oh, this is where I was putting the tassels in a new spot, because the way that the die cut is, they were sticking out in a wonky direction and they got covered up. So I chopped them off and I'm going back in and I'm setting them in different spots and gluing them in. And you can't actually tell from the way that they're set in here, and it just balanced it out a little bit better. Although, of course, I guess the guy one, that they will eventually pull those tassels off, because that's not really a guy thing to do. This is using some of the Crackle Icicle paste to bring a few snowflakes in with a stencil. I poured some abandoned coral embossing glaze over it. I keep trying to do this. Sometimes it captures it, sometimes it doesn't. I still like when it does happen. And again, I'm still thinking, I don't have enough contrast there. That sentiment is just fading into the background, both of them. So I had used some of the oxides to blend over the background, and then the Sakura gel pen to try and highlight it a little bit more, and it still wasn't working for me. So I said, okay, fine, screw this. I'm going to go and just do the inside of the card. And so I pulled out some of the scrapbook.com sentiments. That's this first one here. And then this other one is from Close to My Heart, from one of the ones that's for like stocking stuffers and stuff. But it works up at the top, right? Because, of course, we're tying in two of the colors from the Throwdown Challenge. So continuing on, I'm just using one of my custom stamps for the back. And because this is turning into such a hodgepodge of a mess, I was like, okay, just use the twisted one, the Twisted Mind of Geraldine Rose. Here, I've got my Spellbinder Water Lilies frames out, and I thought, okay, maybe if I rip it all off, and I did. I ripped it all off, those two sentiments, and I used the vellum. And I was like, okay, well, the glue's going to show on the vellum if I do that. What if I get my old sewing machine out that I've had for 40 years, as you can see, and haven't used it since the last time I fixed the horse blanket? This is what happens when you don't run it for 30 years. Anyway, got it sewed down, and I thought, okay, let's just, since we've already turned this into a mixed media grunge, let's bring some more stuff in. So I got out a few more accessory stamps, and I'm just stamping snowflakes and other North Pole stuff in the background on this to kind of grunge it out a little bit more, but still tie in with the colors of the Throwdown Challenge, which are the coral, the blue, light blue, and the gray. And so that's where I was using the pewter ink on those ones to bring in a little bit more of the gray tones. Okay, so I've got the Mary glued back down on top of the vellum frames, which have been sewn down. And now I'm going back in with that Christmas one, resetting it back in that spot so that you can't see the mess that I made underneath, which I got most of it up, so it wasn't too bad in the end anyways. And reset it back into spot. Here's where I was like, you know what? But this is Christmas in July. So what if I make a little mini banner that says in July, and I'll match it with the alphabet font that I used for putting the D and the P on the stockings. And that was really hard to get all those little guys in place. So I've gone around the edge of that banner with some liquid pearls in the silver color, just so that it stands out a little bit better before I tuck it into the back here. And I'm also going to go over it with, of course, the abandoned coral to bring more of that coral color in, because I didn't have quite enough on the card yet. So here's gluing the front panel down, making certain that everything's even there. Love when this part works out, at least for me, using the Simon Says Stop craft tacky glue. I've got a little bit of wiggle room to kind of get it properly into place. If I use the foam, I really have trouble with it because it just wants to suction down right away. So gluing our little banner in place, the In July one. And what's up next? Okay. I needed embellishments because we like the sparkle. And so I got out some old snowflake ones that are white and shiny blue. I don't even know where I got them from again. I got them when I was first starting crafting, so somewhere around 2017 or 18. And still thinking, it needs more. It doesn't look like a JR card. So I'm putting foil around the outside. Just painted some of the tacky glue on and put your foil on and ripped it off. It works. And still more sparkle. So of course stickles with the stardust, because it's very pretty, and it just adds these little shimmer spots in areas because it's a Christmas card and it's supposed to be all sparkly, as you can see. So here's all the shimmer goodness in the background with all the other sparkly, the little bit of foiling and the foiling on the outer edges, and the kind of like goofy little sentiments on the inside. So I hope you guys are all having a good time out there. Be that change you want to see in the world. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.